न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभावयतः शान्तिः अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम् इन्द्रियाणां हि चरतां यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञां वायुर्नावमिवाम्भसि तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणि इन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः आपूर्यमाणमचलप्रतिष्ठम् समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे सशान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमां चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः प्रशान्तिमधिगच्छति एषा ब्राह्मी स्थितिः पार्थ नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति स्थित्वा स्यामन्तकालेऽपि ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति ओम तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे सांख्ययोगो नाम तृतीयोऽध्यायः।
नारायणः परो व्यक्ताद् अण्डमव्ययसम्भवम् अण्डस्यान्तस्त्विमे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Concluding verse 2, chapter 2, verse 20. Few other things to take care of because we are going to be on this theme of not killing and not being killed, etc., for a little while longer. Since it's as it was pointed out, that it's an important theme. And why is that an important theme? Because it is particularly relevant for Arjuna in the middle of the battlefield. And also, it is summing up two particular verses, mantras from the which one? Kathopanishad that we have seen. हन्ता चेन्मन्यते हन्तुम् हतश्चेन्मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतः नायं हन्ति न हन्यते. And so this particular one, this particular mantra that is given rise to verse 220, which is similar, and so we saw that how it is similar, and it is denying any kind of transformation or change for the Atma. Two things are pointed out here. First is Atma cannot be afflicted, hurt, changed, transformed in any way. It is the only existent thing, a canvas, so to speak, the adhisthana upon which all transformations take place. And those transformations belonging to the body, etc., they are just as though projections of the Atma. It's like when a child goes to see a movie for the first time. And if you go ahead of time, first you see a blank screen. And then you see people running. And then you see people, going back and forth. And then the hero and the heroine always, at least in Bollywood movies, they run around trees. And then they go to all these various wonderful sites to sing and proclaim their proclaim their undying love for one another. And so, kind of like the virtual backgrounds we are enjoying, So, so this is what is the function of these backgrounds, so that one can enjoy the vidya in a pleasant atmosphere. That's what it is. So here in the Bollywood movies, there are so many kinds of backgrounds, backdrops, etc., etc. But then, in the olden times, there was not this smooth movie. After the reel was finished, it had to be changed. Then the reel would be finished, and then again it would start 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then again it would start. And so then this disruption between one reel and the other shows that which is stationary lends itself for as the observer and as the adhisthana, the truth, like the canvas upon which all changes are projected, itself is not running. Supposing we have a scene in the movie, a common scene in Bollywood movies. What is that? The villain comes and snatches the heroine's handbag and runs. And the hero that the heroine doesn't yet know comes out of the bushes, and then what else does he do? The heroine comes out of the hero comes out of the bushes, and then what does he do? Uh, he just chases the villain, shakes him down, and snatches the handbag back, and then presents it to the heroine. Now there is a chase, right? So this fellow has taken off on foot and the other fellow is chasing after him. If the canvas also started to run, what kind of a movie would we have? Canvas has to be stationary. And so the stationary Atma is what we are talking about, the Atma that is completely still. And it is still, and it is still, and after so many decades and generations and hundreds and thousands of years of talking about the Atma, it is still. Yeah, still it is still. And so this is basically what the teaching is. And that stillness, it's fine to say Atma is still, but I like to run around. That doesn't do. there is a contradiction there. Atma is still, but I am of the nature of running around. ये ठीक नहीं है. This is not okay. Why? Because the non-separateness of the Atma and the I, that is the knowledge. That is the knowledge. And so this is very appropriate whether the Lord is talking about the background of the Kurukshetra war, where of course all this killing and all this din of conflict, strife, or whether it is talking about a inner conflict, an inner Kurukshetra full of competing and uh, forces that threaten to tear one asunder, that threaten to compromise one's sanity. And this kind of a Kurukshetra also, this knowledge is extremely apt, extremely appropriate. And that is why there is a lot of time spent. And then we go to borrow from the Upanishads in order to justify what is being talked about. And so to conclude, first, last week we saw how the Atma is vikriya rahitaha. It is free of all modifications. From birth to death, those sixfold modifications we talked about. Birth and death are pieces of bread, and in between there is a sandwich of the other four vikaras. And so we saw that, and then made short shrift of that sandwich, because none of these modifications apply to the I. Najayate, namriyate, all these things we have seen. And then the other four modifications are also have been talked about. We have seen the Bhashya for that. Then at the end he says, Asmin mantre, Shadbhaga vikaraha laukika vastu avikriyaha atmani pratishidyante. Asmin mantre, in this verse, in this mantra, these sixfold modifications, he's concluding it, summing it up now. So these sixfold modifications, laukika vastu vikriyaha. Laukika vastu vikriyaha means the kinds of changes to which all beings in the lokas, in the world, are subjected to. This is negated, pratishidyante. These are negated for what? The Atma. And Atma doesn't mean something there, okay? It's you. These are negated for you. Yeah, but I'm getting gray hairs every day. That is the body. That is not the Atma. And don't worry about gray hairs, because you see, the thing is, this is a situation only to be worried about if you have hair. Okay, if you don't have hair, there's one less of a worry. No problem. You can have instant vairagya. Really? How? Because you can walk through the shampoo aisles and the hair care aisles of the supermarket completely like a sadhu. Nothing to worry. Even the best of shampoos made with fruits and flowers, and in in India we eat the fruits. In America we put the fruits on the head. Okay, yeah, shampoo. And so all these fancy shampoos, they don't attract at all. They don't attract. You can be like you can just be like a sadhu walking through the shampoo aisle, conditioner aisle, all these things, and wonderful oils and hair care products. You have instant dispassion. And so like this, so laukika vastu vikriyaha. So all these laukika vastu means in the world we see all the modifications to which all beings, here beings means the jivas, who are embodied, are subjected to. Te survey, all of them, wow, the Atmani, with reference to the Atma, for the Atma, pratishidyante. Pratishidyante, they are negated, denied. Why? Sarva prakara vikriya rahitaha Atma iti vakyarthaha. Meaning that this is because the Atma is free of all modifications, no modification. No happy birthday Atma, no Ram Nam Satya Hai Atma. I mean, that's the chant of, taking the uh, taking the body to the funeral pyre. And so that is also not there. And then, so no transformations. And then he concludes, Yasmad evam tasmat ubhau tau na vijanitah iti purvena mantrena asya sambandha. So then the mantra ends is Ubhau Tau na Vijanitah. These two, meaning which two? First of all, I don't know which two are being talked about. And Adi Shankara reminds us that these classes that are going on week after week are a build up from verse 219, 218, 219 to 220. Okay, they are not discrete things. So go back and then you'll see what what these two people don't know. Ubhau tauna vijanitah. So who are these two? The one who thinks I am the Atma, that is the doer, and the one who thinks I am that which is done in. Both of these don't know that is connected to the previous mantra, because these two mantras are together. We talked about that. Purvena mantrena asya sambandha. And then what happened? So then, ubhau tau na vijanitaha, asya sambandhaha, he concluded. And then, yaha enam vetti hantaram iti anena mantrena kriyayaha karta karma cha na bhavati iti pratignyaya न जायते इति अनेन अविक्रियत्वे हेतुम उक्त्वा प्रतिज्ञातार्थम upasamharati. Now, Adi Shankara, having concluded, says that the Lord Krishna concludes in this particular manner. In what particular manner? After affirming by this particular mantra, Yaenam Vetti Hantaram, यश्चैनं मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतः नायं हन्ति न हन्यते. The one who thinks the Atma is the doer, the one who thinks the Atma is done in, both of them don't know, etc. By that mantra, iti anena mantrena, hananakriyayaha karta karma cha na bhavati. The Atma is not the doer nor the done in of the highness action of killing. Iti pratignyaya, after ascertaining that न जायते इति अनेन अविक्रियत्वे हेतुम् उक्त्वा प्रतिज्ञातार्थम् उपसंहरति. Then, after having ascertained that, then the topic is concluded by showing that the self is beyond all transformations. And so this is the concluding verse in this particular section of doership being denied for the I. For the I. Veda vinashinam nityam. Veda vinashinam nityam. Yaenamajamavyayam. Yaenamajamavyayam. Katham sapurushah partha. Katham sapurushah partha. Kanghatayati hantikam. Kanghatayati hantikam. Veda vinashinam nityam yaenamajamavyayam katham sapurushah partha kanghatayati hantikam. This is the concluding verse in this particular subset of denying every kind of transformation for the I. So Veda means it knows. Vijanati, Veda. What knows what? Veda avinashinam. Know this as what? Avinashinam. And not subject to destruction. Antyabhava vikararahitam. Adi Shankara reminds us. Antyabhava vikararahitam means that for which the final modification in the form of death is denied. And then Nityam. Nityam here has two things. Avinashinam Nityam, meaning Nityam can be a qualification of Avinashi. That which is Avinashi and that which is Nitya. Nitya means that which is not subject to any kind of transformation. Because it is Avinashi, because it is not subject to destruction, thereby it is not subject to any form of transformation. However, we can also take Nitya as a separate thing, which is denying any other kinds of transformations for the Atma. Yaha means this Atma. Yaha enam ajam avyayam. Aja means unborn. Just basically, we have gone through all this. This is like the concluding verse. So the lakshana of the Atma is given here. Lakshana means the definition of the I is given. And what is the definition? It is not subject to destruction. Therefore, it is there. It is limitless and there forever. And therefore, it is what? It is also unborn and not subject to change. And then, this being the case, then Katham, how on earth, Sapurushaha, such a person, how can that person? Partha. Pritha is the name of Kunti. Partha means Kunti Putra. O son of Kunti, Kam Ghatayati. Kam Ghatayati. How can this I kill anybody? Ghatayati, cause any kind of killing to happen. Or Hantikam, or can directly kill. Because it is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and not subject to change. How can it kill? How can it cause someone else to kill? This is important because the causal here is important, because there are two ways of being a karta, a doer. What is the first way of doing something? You directly off somebody. Okay, so that is one way of talking about it. I'm not saying this. The verse is saying this. Yeah. So then, otherwise, people will say, "Why do you always come with violent metaphors?" I'm not. It is very pertinent here. So, somebody directly off someone, and then this is hanana kriyayaha karta, and becomes the direct cause of eliminating somebody, killing somebody. Or you pay a hit man, all right, or a hit woman. These days everything is the same. So you pay somebody to you pay some. Even in ancient times, they had hit women. They were called Vishakanyas. They had hit women in ancient times too. Not this is not all modern. So they used to, the story goes that they used to raise girls after giving them little bit of poison every time, little arsenic, little something, just a drop of cyanide in the milk, and then not enough to kill, but enough to become accustomed. And then these women would grow up really toxic. So anybody that touched them would die off. So I don't know if it is, they would be sent to the enemy camps. This was some kind of a thing. So either you do the action yourself, or you send somebody off, and you pay them and make this happen. Then also you are the karta. Correct? You are the karta. Now, you may say that, okay, then the karta is the one that reaps the karma phala, right? And so then what about when I do a fire ritual? I don't know how to do the fire ritual. So then I appoint a priest to do the fire ritual. So if I appoint a priest to do the fire ritual, then I give some dakshina to the priest. And then so that means what? I am not the doer. No, no, no. There is a clause for that. The priest, in accepting the job of doing the fire ritual on your behalf, tells in the sankalpa, these are the people who are the yajamanas, means these are the actual people doing it. I am just an intermediary. So the punya will go to you only. So like this, there are certain setups. But then, here, this ghatayati is important, the one who causes to kill or the one who kills directly. Both are important, because sometimes one tends to, there is a human tendency to get out of this kartrutvam. Kartrutvam means to think, to be under the apprehension that I am not the doer because I made somebody else do. So I didn't do this. I didn't kill the cockroach that came into the room. I got somebody else to do it. So I am not the karta. No, 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 you are very much the karta. Still, why? Because the connection between the person and the doership is intentionality. That is where the free will comes in, and that intentionality should be there. So if you accidentally step on a live thing like these little worms that come out in the rainy season, etc., there is not that much papa accrued as much as if you consciously uh, consciously hurt or kill something. That is a different matter. Meaning what? So the lion also kills every day. Tiger kills all these carnivorous animals, cheetah, and this what is that called? The hyena. All of them kill. They are carnivores. Cat also kills. And then so this is they are carnivorous animals, but they don't accrue papa. They do not accrue papa. Why? Because they don't have free will, they are going with Bhagavan's programming. But here, this is not there for the human being because there is intentionality. That intentionality sometimes makes one hide behind the false idea that I didn't do this. I just caused it to happen, but I didn't do this. No, you did it. So this is the twofold way of doing it, and both of those are denied here. So avinashinam nityam ajam avyayam. So know this to be this I to be indestructible, eternal, always there, limitless, unborn, and unchanging. And if this knowledge is understood fully, Adi Shankara is going to say in the Bhashya, then who is the doer? Direct doer of an action or even an indirect doer of the action? There is no such thing called doer. That doership is negated for the Atma. That is the idea. So here the Vidvat Lakshana is pointed out. Vidwan, the person who knows the I, the enlightened person, and how that person conducts their business in the world. And how do they very effortlessly blend in the Paramarthika Satta. Paramarthika Satta means the absolute reality where no change is, the unchanging I is talked about. And the day by day Satta, the empirical reality where all changes are talked about. All the changes are talked about here. And how to what's the word for it, without seamlessly move between these two realities. How to do that? This is what this whole verse is about. That's why this verse is important. The bhashya is long, plus we have a couple of nanus. Who are nanus? Nanus are objectors, purva paksha. So some objections are raised and they are answered. This is extremely important, because when we talk about this doership, this is where it's conceptually very easy to understand that the nature of the I is free of all sorrow and free of doership. Yeah, sure, that sounds wonderful. But then what? When the class ends, one is out of Zoom, and Zoom is finished, and one is back into the room where the Zoom was. And then in the room, what is there? All kinds of various discrete things are there. And then what else? Who else is there? Some other person is there who's not in living in your own house, who's not taking the classes. So that is also another, all these things burgeon up in the heart. So many things are there. Immediately, when you are in the room out of the Zoom, then you start looking at the things around you and say, oh, I need to clean this. I need to live here properly. I need to do this. Oh my God, I have to pay the bills. Oh my God, this is not a vacation. I have to do this. All the things come, and then the first line of this mantra, Veda Avinashinam Nityam, Yaha Enam Ajam Avyayam, is gone. Has been really, it's like a virtual background what is behind me. So it's like a virtual background. So that is, that's why it looks so beautiful. That is where the limitlessness of the ocean is, and the unchanging scene of the ocean always there, and indestructible and pleasant and not affected by anything else. That is there. But then here, in what is in front of the background is what is most, important. It's what is most important, because what is in front is changing all the time. What is in front is, going back and forth and doing all kinds of things, and so that is what is changing. And so how this is the lifelong question. How to blend this unchanging with the changing? Doesn't need to be blended. That's the problem. You're not trying to have a shake. What kind of a shake? Some kind of a shake where you put in, what is that? You put in the you put in the Paramarthika Satta in the blender and the Vyavaharika Satta and go vroom, vroom, vroom. And then you have a shake, and then drinking which one becomes a jnani. No, you don't have to blend the two together at all. Why? Because the premise that there are two realities is the problem. That is the problem. Just like nobody says, I want to blend my shadow with me, I want to become one with my shadow because it doesn't look nice to two people walking together. Nobody says that unless, there is some problem there is some issue, some kind of a mental challenge is there. Nobody says that. Nobody says, I want to become one with the shadow. Shadow simply is. And in fact, you are casting the shadow. Just like you, the Atma is the one that has projected this entire world of names and forms, starting with the five elements, starting with your own body, which is a product of the five elements, as we will see in the Taittiriya Upanishad also. So therefore, there are no two realities from the standpoint of the Vidwan. Two equally competing realities are not there. There is the I, and then there are the projections of the I. And before projections, we have to add an important phrase. What is that? As though. ah, as though. As though projections. As though creation. As though manifestation. The manifest universe does not compete with the I, because the manifest universe is indeed non-separate from the I. The manifest universe cannot trouble the I because the I and the manifest universe do not belong to the same order of reality. When we start talking about the orders of reality, then we have one which is an as though and one which is real. But the problem is one is caught up in the as though it is real. This is the problem. When the as though becomes real, then the real becomes as though. That's what happens. When mithya becomes satyam, satyam becomes mithya naturally. So when the as though has become real, and then the real, which is being talked about in all these verses of the Bhagavad Gita, the real becomes, oh, it's just as though there, it's not really there. It becomes an abstraction. Then one starts to get into some kind of a false philosophizing. How, well, at the end of the day, who really gets moksha? Come on, get real. Who gets moksha? Very, very few people. Not really. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Who gets moksha? Nobody gets moksha. I mean, this is just nice to think about it as a possibility. And then people start quoting also. This is sometimes a problem. If you start learning Bhagavad Gita and a smattering of Sanskrit, then you can compromise the verses to project your own non-reality as reality. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tatvatah. The beginning of the 7th chapter is quoted. Why even the Lord says that among thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of human beings, Manushyanam sahasreshu, thousands of human beings, kaschid yatati siddhaye, one knows how to put the proper and the correct effort. Yatataamapi siddhanam. And out of the few that, who are putting the proper effort, only one gains me as the truth of themselves. Why? Even Bhagavan says this. Yeah, Bhagavan says this, but you're snatching the words out of poor Bhagavan's mouth and, dressing it up for your own agenda. Bhagavan says this to encourage you. Bhagavan says this to show you that you are one of those few people because you find yourself here. And you have survived the 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita to encourage you. Because that's 1/3 of the Bhagavad Gita. That's when a certain kind of a, are we there yet? Kind of a boredom can set in place. Are we there yet? Is moksha on the firmament? Am I there yet? Am I getting this 6 chapters over? Now what is happening? So, these are all very nice teaching methodologies of the Shastra to encourage one. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. So the idea is, you say, who? Me? Yeah, I'm one of those people who's making the right effort. I'm one among thousands and thousands and thousands. Yay! Yippee! That is what you're supposed to say. Not co-opt this verse, these and other such verses for your own, to emphasize and exacerbate your own doldrums. You can't drag in the Gita into your personal hopelessness to manifest and amplify your personal hopelessness. What is this? It's not fair to the you, and above all, it's not fair to the Bhagavad Gita. Stop. This is what it is. And so here, what is being talked about here is the effortless, seamless movement as though movement between the paramarthika and vyavaharika, between the absolute and the relative worlds, and that is achieved by knowing the absolute absolutely as absolute, and knowing the relative as absolutely non-existent. Really, that is what it is. And so that means what? That's why we have 760 plus verses, and then we have a long time given. We have a long rope to be able to walk the eye from the relative to the absolute. The eye is put on a leash. It's a long leash. Why? Because in between a restaurant comes, and then like a dog that is wandering off. So one wants to wander off and then check out what is there. Oh, is that a squirrel? Between two trees, the dog rushes. And so therefore there is a long leash. The owner allows the dog to just go. Smell a squirrel here and bark up a tree there and do something here, there, everywhere. Oh, is that some food somebody has thrown? And the dog is well fed at home, but still it wants to just go and sample that. And the dog-eared jiva is no different. The dog-eared jiva also wants to say, ooh, new restaurant in town. Pandemic rules have been released now. I think we have to sample this. We have to go here. We have to absolutely go here and see what it is like. No more pandemic. So we can go. And then, oh, something wonderful over there. I think I have to go. In between what? I think I'll squeeze in the Bhagavad Gita class, and then I'm off again. And I'm off again to some new adventure. This is called wanderlust, okay? Going here, going there. Hey, what is this? Everywhere is the same. You can sit at home and download some virtual backgrounds. You are now at the ocean. Tomorrow's class, don't miss, because we'll be in the mountains. Okay, yeah. So, so then you can have another holiday tomorrow, and so you can go to the mountains everywhere. Any holiday is either the mountains, or the oceans, or some trees, or a combo thereof. What other place is there? Some water and some mountains, some trees. That's all. And some kinds of exotic, some very expensive shops. Yeah, that's what. Because what is available back home is not very nice, because it's not expensive. So if it's expensive, that means it must be more valuable. This is the human mind. But still, this wanderlust, just like the dog running around the trees. trying to catch the squirrel that will never be caught, because squirrels are clever. They're not going to come and, give themselves up to the dog. And what is the squirrel in the jiva's life? Any such elusive, finite pursuits that seem to be barely out of reach. Some kind of a thing that one wants to own. Sometimes the chase itself is fun. So some things that one likes to chase. And some kinds of impossibly perplexing hobbies, like what? Rock climbing. Now, this is the previous life goat samskara. One was a goat in the last life. And then so that rock climbing, still that thing is there. And I have already told you this other one, bungee cord jumping. Some kind of an elastic cord is there, and you keep going up and down like this. Spider vritti. That's all it is. Spider also does that. Goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. And then one more thing. What is that? Something I some kind of a thing. You get dragged on the ocean surface. Very noisy thing. There is a boat, jet ski, all these things. Jet ski. When I was in the Bahamas, I saw all this. And then some hot air balloon. Already full of hot air, even without the balloon. Why go sit there? You're already full of hot air, no problem at all. And so, like this, various, these kinds of opportunities, if you want to call them that, hobbies, or if you want to use my term, distractions, keep on, keep on assailing the jiva. The sense organs are all outward, and they are all just saying, give me, give me, give me. They are not saying that. Ahankara is saying that. Give me, give me, give me. I want, I want, I want, I want. Me, more, more, more. And so, like the dog on the leash, it stretches itself as far as it can and strangles itself almost in order to go after the squirrel that will never be caught. Similarly, the jiva, even at great peril to itself, keeps on meandering in the world of the uh, objects, objects of sensory delights, finite delight. That's why they rhyme. Okay, so every delight is finite. And that's what it is. So, in the world of finite delights, and then what happens? One is caught. Like even the dog with a long leash. Sometimes the squirrel is climbing the tree, so the dog is circling the tree, and then what? It's caught. So, this is what happens. If these two planes, which are not really two, and that's just a plain fact. So these two planes of living, so to speak, become so different and diverge so badly from what one knows and how one is. That is why this verse is very, very important, because this is to bring the two together. If the Atma is not subject to change, then it behooves me to lead my life in that same manner. I have to understand that, and I have to live my life in that way. If the Atma is not destructible, then I have to live my life in that way. If the Atma is not a doer, then I have to lead my life in that way. How? By seeing that I am not the cause of anything. And therefore, if this knowledge becomes very, very important, when this knowledge becomes extremely important to oneself, then what do we have? We have a minimizing of actions in one's life. That's a natural outcome. The natural outcome is one stops searching, one stops seeking here, seeking there, doing this, doing that. One stops. There is not, because, simply because whatever one does is not satisfying anymore, because one has that uncultivated desire to be happy, to know the I, is understood as a cognitive pursuit, is not something to do, but something to understand. So then all other things that one has to do, one does. One does out of a sense of devotion, one does out of a sense of Shraddha, but then those areas of action keep on getting minimized, 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 minimized. Those areas of action are not there at all. So this is exactly the teaching. This is what has to be understood. So with the minimization of actions, in the beginning, maybe it is scary. What will I do with myself? But over time, it becomes, within quotes, becomes one's own nature. And because it is really one's own nature. So the walking of the I from the realm of doing, from the realm of lamenting one's actions, from the realm of all these things that one is, caught in, to the paramarthika satta, to the absolute reality where one is stillness and contentment itself. That stillness is the result of contentment, and conversely, because one is content, one can afford to be still. There is no more seeking. There is no more seeking at all. And this is what the blending of these two realities into one, seeing the empirical reality as a projection while abiding in the firmly, cognitively, firmly in the reality that I am free of action and the results of action. That is what is the gist of this knowledge. This is what is moksha. So let us look a little bit at the Bhashya. Veda Vijanati Avinashinam Antyabhava Vikara Rahitam. Up till now we have seen Nityam Viparinama Rahitam Yo Veda Iti Sambandha Enam Purvena Mantrena Uktalakshanam Ajam Janmarahitam Avyayam Apakshaya Rahitam. So Adi Shankara says, I'm not going to comment on the first line. Why? Because Purva Mantrena Sambandha. We have seen in detail how the Atma is devoid of the modifications from beginning to end. The modification of birth, not there. Modification called death, not there for the I. Modification called various changes and increase, decrease, not there for the I. Therefore, it is limitless. Therefore, it is forever. Iti purva mantrena sambandha ukta lakshanam. We have talked about all this in detail. Then he goes straight to the second line where the message is very important. Katham, how? Kena prakarena, another way of saying how, in which way, saha vidwan purushaha, the enlightened person, the person of knowledge, adhikritaha hanti hananakriyam karoti, katham va ghatayati hantaram prayojayati. So, by those lakshanas mentioned in the previous mantra, the I that was revealed as indestructible, devoid of all modifications, changeless, unborn, etc., etc., and then, that which is forever. How can the person who knows this I, who is fit for this knowledge, ever perform an act of slaying, killing, or cause the action to be performed by another? And then, lest we take these questions seriously, Adi Shankara points out that they are rhetorical questions, not really looking for an answer, it's just negating that. Na kathanchit kanchit hanti. Under any circumstances, no one is slain, no one is killed under any circumstances. Na kathanchit kanchit ghatayati. He spells it out because here is where all the vagueness and error can creep in. So he spells it out. It's not like, katham sa purusha partha ghatayati hantikam. It's not like, this is not like a, prashnarthe kim. We have different kinds of kims, okay? Yeah. So kim here is not a, proper noun as in America and Western countries. Some people are named Kim. We are not talking of them, okay? So we are not talking of those kims. But here there are different kinds of kims here. One is prashnarthe kim, meaning if supposing I am asking a question, what have you eaten? If I say, so that kind of a what and what kind of a kim, come, etc., all these things, those are real questions. Prashnarthe, in the form of a question, they have to be done. They have to be understood. Here the kim is different. It is called aksheparthe kim. Akshepa means here a kind of a, it makes you think. It's a rhetorical question. It makes you think. It makes you understand that this is ironic. There is irony here, meaning that when you say, who is going to kill? Like, for example, if we say, who is going to bell the cat? That means no one can bell the cat. That is the idea. And Adi Shankara, to ward off any kind of difficulty here, does the following. He spells it out. Na kathanchit kanchit dhanti. Under any circumstances, no one is killed. Kills no one. And then kathanchit kanchit ghatayati. And under any circumstances, the one does not cause anyone else to be killed. Ubhayatra, in both these situations, akshepaha eva arthaha prashnartha asambhavat. Yeah. So here he talks about the two kims very nicely. So akshepaha eva arthaha. So here the rhetorical is what is talked about. Akshepa means the dismissal. So the dismissal is of the possibility of the Atma being the agent of killing or the indirect agent of killing is negated. That negation here is the rhetorical question in the form of Akshepa. Why? He says Akshepaha eva arthaha. This is ascertained. Nirdharitaha. Why? Prashnartha asambhavat. Because there is no, this is not a question to be answered. How can the Atma kill? So, this is the what answer would be there? Let me count the ways. No, that's not the idea. The idea is not let me count the ways. How are you going to count the ways? No, Atma can use a knife, and stab somebody else. Knife is non-separate from Atma. The other person is non-separate from Atma. Plus, Atma doesn't do any job. Nothing is other than the Atma, and that Atma is not only avikriya, but does not do any, is not a karta. So prashnartha asambhavat. So this kim here, hantikam, this what here, how does the person kill or cause to be killed, etc. So this kind of this is akshepaha eva arthaha. Akshepa alone is talked about. This cannot be a question answer. This is not a little quiz in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is asking, have you studied the other one, etc. This is not a quiz. Okay, that will also come later. But this is not a quiz. Here it is not expecting an answer because the question here is in the form of a rhetorical question, an ironical device, a satirical device, an ironical device to dismiss the possibility of Atma as an actor. Okay. Then further he says, if that much is understood, we can go further. Hetvarthasya avikriyatwasya tulyatvad vidushah sarvakarma pratishedah eva prakarnarthah abhipretah bhagavatah. Bhagavatah abhipretah. It is intended by the Lord. It is taught by the Lord. What is taught? Avikriyatva. Avikriyatva means the unchangingness of the I should hold good. Tulyatvat means should hold good for the jnani in denying all manner of action. All kinds, sarva karma pratishedha, the negation of all kinds of actions, because in the talking about killing etc is the ultimate form of action and very extreme action, and so using this all the actions are denied, negated. And then it is pointed out that the Lord is not bloodthirsty for the killing and is not really talking about killing. The killing is merely an upalakshana. So, what is the how is that here in the Bhashya? Hante hetu akshepah udaharanarthah. Udaharanarthah means it is just an example. Hantehe, for the killing, for the act of slaying. Akshepah, the denial of the act of slaying is just for the sake of an example. Here we are talking of all actions. By taking the most extreme action, we are talking of all actions being denied for the vidusha, for the vidwan. For the Vidwan, all actions are denied. And then now the Nanu comes. Nanu means what? The one who is not understanding this at all. And why will not one understand this? Because their feet are firmly planted and identified in the shadow reality, in the virtual reality that is taken to be absolute. That is why they don't understand this. So, who is asking the question? Not a Vidwan. And who is not a Vidwan? A Vidwan. So, this Nanu, this questioner, doesn't understand what has been talked about. All right, all right. The Purva Pakshi says, all right, there is impossibility on part of the knower of the eye, etc. And then that's why the Lord says, how can a man kill? How can the man, how can the person do this, etc., etc. All that is there, but the what is the reason? What is the reason by which the Vidwan is exempt from action? This is an important question. Actually, it's a very, very important question. What is the reason? How come all of us have to do this? Is the questioner. All of us have to get up in the morning and do homa. This is a Vaidika talking. So, all of us have to get up in the morning, we start the fire pit, do homa, do prayer. From morning to evening, do this, do that. Then 5 kinds of yajnas, bhuta yajna, and give food to all the beings around you. Birds, etc., animals, feed them. Then atithi yajna, at least feed one more person before you eat. And this does not count family members. Someone who you do not know. Feed that person and then only sit down to eat. All this is there. And so from morning to evening, one is keeping on doing. And then what? Then you have the example of the Vidwan, the Jnani, goes around. Bhiksha is already ready. Bhiksha falls into the plate. All tasty, tasty things come. And then what? Goes around giving talks. And then people treat the Vidwan so nicely. Oh, thank you for coming. Thank you for the classes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The Vidwan has a cushy life. Doesn't have to do anything. From morning to night, just has free time. And then the rest of the people have to slog from morning to night, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. What exempts this fellow? Okay, this is the Purva Pakshi's question. What exempts this fellow? What is what is this? Why does this fellow get to just be and then be lean on the society, because the society has to upkeep this good for nothing. And this is the person old? No. Is the person infirm? No. Is the person capable of doing work? Yes, but then still has dropped out. I could have also dropped out, and here I am feeding this person. What is wrong with this? There is something wrong with this picture, that a few people, by the Lord himself, are exempt from any kind of actions, and they can just sail through life and just sit in an ashram, and somebody else donates, and then the people just eat, and then this is what you could do, and then nobody else, they don't need to go to work, they are not accountable to any boss, and then they don't need to bring home any food, they don't have to think about raising the family, they don't have to do anything. They can just leave everything and just be fantastically free about all that, where the whole rest of the people just keep on slogging, 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 slogging. That's why I don't like Vedanta, say a few people. Why? Because it is elitist. It is elitist. Some people get to sit and do nothing, and the other people are working. And what's the difference between the Vedanta and capitalism? And that's where in capitalism also there is a distance between haves and have nots. And here it's a very strange thing, because supposedly the sannyasi, the jnani, is a have not, but then has everything. Really. All they have to do is attach one epithet to their name, one small addendum to their name, Ananda. And then what? And then they get everything. And even if they're the most depressed person on the planet, attaching the word Ananda to the name brings about some kind of a transformation, really, because they get all delectable delights. Everybody respects them. And then they can go about doing nothing and having everything. And the rest of the people are just, what is this, keeping on doing, doing, doing. I too need a holiday. I too will look good in orange. I too can be a jnani. I too can do that. Why this jnani alone has? What is so special about the jnani? This is the Purva Paksha. What does Bhagavan answer? For that, we'll have to wait until next week. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Thank you. I hope you had as much fun as I did.